on 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We are uniting as one to call down divine enlightenment over the earth and all life forms. So join us for 5 minutes or the full hour for this worldwide event online in the comfort of your own home. Tune in live to uprntalkradio.com or the UFRO Paranormal Radio YouTube channel. Or you can go to our website and our forum site, worldenlightenment2021.org. That's WORLDENLIGHTENMENT 2021.org for more information on this World Enlightenment 2021 event on December 24th, 5 to 6 p.m. We are all coming together in harmony. So let light unite. Think Quantum Leap World Enlightenment now.
Hey, and we are live on Discovery Paranormal. And like Kathy Bilski and the Quantum Leap and people leaping through the air, man. Like, you know, I don't know about all that leaping stuff, man. And I think some people are fruity on the junk. Fruity on the junk. I stay away from all that. You know what? I like my candy corn. I like my coffee. Not in that order. I like the stuff that I like. What do I seek? I seek knowledge. I explore. I want to know more. And there is a subject out there that I'm interested in. I learn everything I can about it. I pick people's brains who are experts, so called experts. And believe me, you can suss them out pretty fast. But it's about the dreams. You got to have your dreams. Number one, you have to follow your dreams. Number two, but number three, you have to understand what precognitive dreams are. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about a dream that they had that predicted the future, right? And she said that happens all the time to her. So okay, I'm like, so do you use this for your own life? Do you all right? You know that you have these dreams of the future, and you remember these dreams as that moment is happening, sort of like deja vu, but not without the feeling that you already saw the movie and you know what's going to happen, right? And your actions and reactions can be different as far as you know as to what is going to happen. One, how do you know your actions and reactions are going to be different if you don't see yourself in that situation? Most people don't see themselves in these situations. Most people do the first person thing in their dreams. But you're always going to talk to people that have all kinds of different ideas about that. So, but if you can use that dream and think about making those choices and choosing something different to have a different outcome of that future, then I think you've hit pay dirt, right? But people tend to confuse things like lucid dreaming versus precog, all right? Precognitive dreaming and lucid dreaming are similar but not the same. You can be lucid dreaming and have a precognitive dream, right? So, what are precognitive dreams? You asked. All right, you ready? Precognitive dreams are a type of dream that happens in a waking life. Sometime after the dream, you had some other dream or whatever. Another word for them may be psychic dreams. So it's interesting that these things are proven throughout history, even famous people, all kinds of people have had. I'm gonna talk about that actually. Times in history where people had those precognitive dreams, and in some cases didn't act on those dreams. They went against the dream, and then terrible things had happened. Right? Abraham Lincoln. No, excuse me. So precog dreams. Scientists beat themselves over the heads thinking that they can't prove different what a precog dream is, right? You have all kinds of people with PhDs mounted on the wall that can't figure it out. So, the one thing that they all agree is that it's a very real phenomenon, all right? So, we know that. Most people are quick to dismiss the idea of the whole premonition type of dreams, right? And you might wonder, you know, you got to think about you have to think of not just those, but all the stuff that astral projection and traveling and this, all the stuff that kind of comes together as you're sleeping. So you might even think that that sleeping world is a different life for you, So when what goes on in your little brain, and all that happening, electric stuff, you know what I mean? So precognitive dreams aren't exactly uh, something that they've just started studying. They've been studying this for thousands of years, literally. So, 350 BC, the famed Greek philosopher Aristotle published an interesting paper called On Prophesizing by Dreams. He comes to the subject that basically a questioning eye, eventually concluding that there's certainly possible, but that much more could come out in those dreams and that dream matter, you know. And is it a coincidence? Is it not a coincidence? He started questioning all these things, of the things that we experience in our lives. But how come people have dreams that have nothing to do with things they've ever experienced? Are they just piecemealing things together? I mean, granted, you watch enough movies, you watch enough crap TV, you're going to absorb a lot of those materials. What about before television? What about before all these things and all these things of entertainment and people in their very modest, simple lives had these unbelievable dreams of future civilizations, other things that are going on, or whatever, man. That their active imagination, yeah, maybe. Humans have great imaginations. So think about though, and even the history. I talked about Abraham Lincoln. So back in 1860, Abe awoke from a terrifying dream. He had been walking through the White House and came upon a coffin being heavily guarded. Upon asking a guard who had died, he was told the president was killed by an assassin. Just a few days later, his dream came true. Abraham Lincoln was shot and killed. And not only that, his wife also had these dreams. And they had a psychic up in Auburn, New York. She had these dreams. So I'm very, very sad to say I've learned that a friend of mine, Francine Blazari, a great psychic, somebody who had aided the police and the FBI in solving cases in the Ithaca area in the central New York. She had passed away, and I know she was having a rough bout for quite a while. And, so sad to say, but a great person nonetheless. Just made me think of her because she actually had a tea set that belonged to that medium that was Lincoln's medium. Anyway, so what about the Titanic? Stories about the Titanic premonitions are common. People said, "Oh, I knew," like 9/11 too. People like I knew not to go into work that day, or people had that type of thing too. They had the premonition. Yeah, yeah, maybe people had those dreams, and those dreams affected them enough to keep them out of a situation and affect change, right? So let's see. Isaac Fruthenthal and Eugene Daly were both passengers on the Titanic. Fruthenthal had a dream before boarding the ship that he was on a crashed into something and sank. He had the same dream after boarding the Titanic. Fruthenthal survived the sinking, and his dream story has become well-known instance in precognitive dreaming. Daly had a slight different experience. He boarded the Titanic in Queenstown and almost immediately mentioned to a friend that he had dreamed the ship going down. Every single night while aboard, he had the same scary dream. The day on which the ship sank, Daly told his friends they were going to sink that very night. So think about that. But you know what? I'm going to freak you out right now because everything you know is nothing. All right. And it comes down to, as time goes on, it's not end to end, it's seamless and it overlaps. I'm a firm believer this energy overlaps. So who's to say that they can't get a feel for essentially what had already happened? You know, I mean, if you're going to drag the past and you're going to like press on for the future, there's energy there that these things, all these things working for the same goal, for the same finish line, right? Don't you think that that energy affects that? Oh, look at a hurricane, for instance. The most devastating part of a hurricane is not really the wind, it's more the tidal surge that is coming. The hurricane itself doesn't have a tidal surge. It's water that it's pushing through the sheer power and the density of the storm, right? And it's pushing and pushing. It affects the change. That hurricane can be very far away, but still land is going to start feeling the effects from that ripple effect. And I think that is very much the same with time. So when you have these dreams, people who are very sensitive, I think that those people have a better idea of the future, and of maybe avoiding certain things, and then, or maybe not paying attention to those things, like Abraham Lincoln. I mean, like, who knew what he dreamt about on a daily basis? It was a turbulent time. He was a polarizing figure, you know, loved by many, hated by many, right? I mean, the guy had to, it's in your daily life, you probably don't have that type of a relationship with complete strangers who are thinking things about you and want to hurt you for all these different political reasons, right? So who knows what he dreamt about on the reg, but he dreamt in that particular, wrote it down, and it stood out to him. To me, if something stands out to you that much, you need to pay attention to it. It's there for you to pay attention to. And it's not about messing with the natural laws of the universe. It's about understanding the future. If you didn't have the ability to see it, you wouldn't see it. If you didn't have the ability to understand it, you wouldn't understand it. And if it affected you deeply emotionally, then there's something to it that goes much deeper than your initial outward senses and what you absorb on a daily basis in this world, right? Mark Twain, the American writer Mark Twain, dreamed about his brother's body lying in a metal coffin in his sister's house. A few weeks later, after his dream, his brother was killed. But what do you do with that? How do you stop things from going into motion when you have these dreams? Or you tell people, I tell people when I have freaky dreams about them or whatever, and I hope that they appreciate it, because I like to think that if I put the information out there, maybe something in the universe can be used for good, you know. So, but if I have a wacky, freaky dream, even if it's not, if it's a vivid dream, something that really stands out, that I feel was tangible, real, that I could touch things and I'm there, that's a whole different world from the other cat videos that play in my mind when I'm sleeping. The endless cat videos. So, and speaking of Mark Twain, so back then the standard was to bury people in a wooden coffin, but a friend had paid for Twain's brother to be buried in style in a metal coffin. Twain saw the scene exactly as he had in his dream. But what do you do? You want to be able to put a stop to it. You want to be able to do something, especially if it's something you can put a stop to, something that you can change, right? This is about using precog dreams to affect a change. So, Julius Caesar, Julius Caesar's wife, Calpurnia, was plagued by terrifying dreams the night before her husband died. She begged Caesar not to leave when she awoke, but alas, he didn't listen. And now look how things turned out. Salad. So, precog dreams has been happening for a long time. There are leaders of worlds that have used these dreams, in their battles and what they've done. They've paid attention to them because even if it's your innermost thoughts, it's still communicating to you something that it feels it need to, right? It's something to pay attention to, not the cat videos. So, the difference between precog dreams and intuitive dreams. So, precognitive dreams can be difficult things to get a handle on and control. It's entirely possible that you've had a lot going on in your life, and maybe you didn't even realize it. If you've had, if you have had like cases where you believe were the premonition dreams, you could be right, and these things happen, there, boom, you're like, oh my god, I had a dream about this, right? And those dreams are pretty common with people. When you talk to most people, I talk to a lot of people about these things. I ask them about their dreams, even the people at the checkout. What's going on with your dreams, but in some cases there's like what we call intuitive dreams are more the rational explanation for the precog, right? So here's a scenario. You have someone who dreams that they've been diagnosed with a disease. 2 months later, they get blood test results and they have cancer, right? So you might think that that's a precog dream, and you need to consider the time leading up to the dream. So the person that had the dream was feeling unusually tired, short of breath, not themselves. They've been having more naps to replenish the energy, and then their family member passed away from cancer shortly before, the whole bit. So in this case, there's a lot of unconscious leading towards this dream. There's a lot of information being collected that can assemble and have that, right? Plus, as you're feeling sick, don't you think your body tells itself things or tells you things that knows things that you're ignoring? All of the information that's going on. Come on, there's a lot to pay attention to. So, but then you add science into it, right? And scientists love to study stuff because they get paid to do so. You know, they they want to know everything because they get that money to do research, right? Whether they come up with results or not, a lot of times they don't, and they still get the money for the research. A lot of times the things are ridiculous, and then they get a ton of government money usually, which is our money. So, and if you pay taxes, it hurts. Yeah, if they're doing something for real that's going to help mankind, great. But recording how many bananas a monkey eats in an hour, I don't care. I don't care. That's between the monkey and the banana. But we pay for that. These are real studies that had gone on that we've paid either hundreds of thousands or millions. So anyway, all right. So science, they want to believe, and then they don't want to believe. The very fact that they think that there's, I don't know if you ever met any. I have lots. Dated one from France, and she was very headstrong. We had a lot of arguments, like political arguments, but she was very, very headstrong, and because of she thought she knew it all. And I'm like, if you can't think like that. If you think like that, then you're not going to discover, right? I had the same conversation with you know with somebody who was into physics, a grad student at Cornell, when I talked about tachyons, and she laughed in my face over tachyons. And then not long after, neutrinos were discovered. So anyway, but if you don't have the head for discovery, you're never going to discover it. Maybe by accident, which is how things happen sometimes, right? So, all right, I'm going to move on, man, to this. So, can dreams predict the future? That's what we really want to know. So, at this time, there's little scientific evidence that says dreams can predict the future, right? And this is the scientific stance. Some research suggests that certain types of dreams may help predict the onset of illness, mental decline in the dream. However, For example, in people with Parkinson's disease, dreams containing negative emotions are correlated with future cognitive decline. So that's a scientific answer for someone having a dream that they are going down. They're maybe their body telling them that they are going down, and it's creating that dream, right? So, and different stages of life and experiences can alter your dreams, cause nightmares. Pregnancy can lead to more nightmares, especially when you consider the cost of having a child. Man, oh my god, oh my god! Or vivid dreams. Those trauma can also impact your sleep, and both trauma and mental issues are associated with an increase in nightmares. So now you think you're all crazy, you have some nightmares. Now you always, if you're not pregnant, you're nuts. Kind of that's the statement from science. In turn, nightmares may negatively affect your sleep overall. In some circumstances, you might have a lucid dream. While lucid dreams do not predict the future, they give you, see, but lucid dreams can. They give you an awareness that you are dreaming. So you may be able to control your dream while lucid dreaming. I love how people, I love how people, I love how people try to explain things, you know? These are the scientific explanations for precog dreaming. Not that you've had the dream, you know what's going to happen. When things are happening, you know what's happening because you've had the dream. You can even tell people the dream and these things are happening, and then they're going to, scientists are going to say that's not the case. They're going to say it's selective recall, that people recall confirmed premonition dreams significantly more frequently than disconfirmed premonition dreams. In other words, if your dream predicts the future, you are much more likely to remember that dream than your dream not. So you don't remember the dream when you're eating some pie, but you do remember the dream that had a significant, profound effect on you and actually happened for real. The one thing they leave out from these things is they actually happen for real. So now they go after paranormal people, paranormal beliefs. Researchers have found a significant relationship between belief in the paranormal, belief in precognitive dreams, and the ability to make associations among unrelated events. These results suggest that if you're inclined to find connections in the world, you're more likely to experience the premonitions. So you make it up in your head because you believe in the paranormal, and of course, it's all bunk. It's all bullcrap. There's no such thing. People believe in nothing, right? No ghosts, no UFOs, no Sasquatch, nothing. Only what your mind makes up, right? And if you believe in that, then you messed up enough to make up these things and make those connections and think that you're actually dreaming of the future when really you're just nuts. So, how's that? How's that for a scientific explanation? All right. Coincidence. Some people who have precognitive dreams may not interpret them as predictive until a corresponding event occurs in real life. The things that remind you, when that alligator was eating your baby, and you're like, oh, I had that dream, and now it's happening. It just reminded me of damn Disney World. Factors such as selective recall, tolerance for and ambiguity and paranormal beliefs can contribute to you drawing connections between coincidences in your life and dreams you've experienced. And of course, the subconscious connection. Experts, they don't name them here, uh, have a theory that we dream to process our memories and emotions. As a result, events that you experience during the day may stick with your subconscious. For example, you might dream of purchasing new furniture for your home, and when you wake up, you see an advertisement for a couch, or you want to purchase some lingerie, and you wake up and you see an advertisement for some lingerie, and then you associate that with your dream. Hey, this just happened. You got a new couch and you got some bustier. However, if you've been thinking about redecorating your home and looking for lingerie, your dream might simply reflect what was already coming up in your life. So, how would they explain cell phones and people talking around them, and then all of a sudden those ads start flying at you because they record what you say? Talk about invasion of privacy, man. So, this is why I don't. This is why science has a long way to go before they start really understanding uh, about what people are really experiencing, and not everything is meat and bones. There's other things out there that go much further, things that these people obviously don't have a mind to understand, but instead they mock other people. Oh, if you like the paranormal, they can barely contain themselves with all that. You never watch the media, the news. I was flipping around the channel, and they had that guy on Fox News. I don't know, whatever time of day. He looks like he's got a little boy haircut, but he's like a man, you know. And then they were talking about UFO activity and these aircraft carriers and how these UFOs are kind of just hanging about, and there's nothing we can do about it except observe them. And when they said, the girl said UFO to him, he made the face like like somebody said the word penis in the fourth grade, and how people are like that. And as long as people are like that, they're never going to understand anything. So scientists are just trying to wrestle with the concept that they don't know what anything is, right? Dream workers around the world have come to realize clear telltale signs that indicate when a dream is psychic, though. And yeah, see, there are people called scientists that go out there and study monkeys eating bananas. There are people that are called dream workers out there that go out there and study dreams. They probably get paid very differently, but they're out there. And there are people like me that sit here and talk about them. So, but when you say the word psychic, let's talk about ESP, extrasensory perception, beyond the senses, right? The things that we take in through our third eye, through that doorway, that window. How's that? So that takes place sometimes within a dream, and there's also precognitive experiences that are not dreams, but things that happen to people during the day, or if they're resting or whatever, they also have that happen. So that's also another thing, right? So it depends on who you listen to. And this is the problem because people don't usually know what they're talking about. They're talking about it from their perspective, you know. And you should never listen to someone's perspective and guidance of your own life. I can say you can learn from other people's mistakes, but since you're not those people, it'd be very difficult to have the experience yourself and understand that the same outcome would happen for you for them. A lot of people don't believe it, which is why people still do what they do, right? So, like the Buddha says, you're on your own mission. We're all on our own path. We all do our own thing. Sometimes we travel together. Sometimes we travel alone, you know, but we all do our own thing and our experiences impacts our lives. Nobody owns you. You don't own anybody. It's what you do in your life. And then really when you get that simple with all the stuff going on, trying to get into your life, all these things like advertising, all these things thrown at you, bombarding you with all these negative images and these heavy things that are being put upon you that really do nothing but drag you down. you have to ask, are these things designed to make you feel better? Are they designed to lift you up? Are they designed to help you in any way? Even all those drug ads on television, they're not designed to help you. They're designed to get you on those drugs, and they have a pill for everything. They have a pill for nothing. I saw a commercial that, if you're feeling down and you don't really know what's wrong, they have this pill, and the pill has all these side effects that could kill you. This is what the world is right now, and you have to be aware of that. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It's as complicated as you make it, right? So the telltale signs of a psychic dream, right? Nearly all psychic dreams, regardless of what category they fall into, have a very strong visceral feeling to them with very vivid, clear imagery of colors. Colors. Not every psychic dream will be in color, but most are, and your dream may be in black and white except for a single object or scene that stands out in bright colors. It's the colors, man, the colors. And that contains psychic overtones. These overtones are usually experienced through the feeling of nature in the dream. In addition to the above generalized traits, the following categories of psychic dreams will have added unique traits for their own. So there's all different types. There's 5 categories of psychic dreams. You got your precog, which we've been talking about, right? Along with very vivid and colorful central message of the dream will tend to repeat itself in many different ways. So it's that message, something trying to get through to you, right? Or the precog dream of an actual scene of something that's going to happen. So aside from what shapes, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can get into shapes of, what you're dreaming. And like this one person when COVID-19 erupted, they dreamt that they're at a round table. It's the school they work in. Someone handed them a small piece of paper that was meant to identify their status in some way. And they told them that they'd be leaving work for a while. And as they took the paper and walked out of the building, they didn't know why. They had stopped for a while, but the feeling was very vivid and visceral and strong. A couple of nights later, they dreamt that the sun was in a field of dry, tall grass. As far as they could see, the land was barren and the grass was dead. The surrounding trees have no leaves, no living branches. And so the scene, the current theme keep going: dead land, dead grass, dead trees, right? All the trees were surrounded by round wire cages that encircled their trunks, blah 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 blah. So obviously you see that someone dreaming about COVID and the shapes of it and the whole bit, all that. Or if you listen to my show, the Red Pill News, you would have known that was coming because we talked about that going back to November of 2019. So, yep, that didn't come in a dream. It just common sense and paying attention to what's going on in the news. Anyway, there are telepathic dreams. Telepathy is actually something that can occur within dreams between dream characters, but you could also receive telepathic communication from someone else through your dream state and not even dreaming. So it's something that these things that you receive, you know what? When the mom says something wrong with my kid, I got to get in touch with her. I'm trying to call her, something going on. It's that connection. But how does that connection work? It's not just coincidence, it's a connection. How does that, or between twins, you find a lot of that energy that they are connected. So think of it in terms of quantum physics and how these particles can travel an unbelievable amount of space within, in a nanosecond, it's there. And they've divided particles and had them, hundreds of miles apiece, and those particles were interacting with one another. If they turned one, the other one would turn in the opposite direction upon that. So that energy exists. That energy, we know, we've proven through science. Real scientists have went out and proven that works. So compare that and pair it with the paranormal world. If you start thinking of anything that's in that world where something needs to move from one space to another instantaneously, that's what it's all about, right? So telepathic thought, and putting those messages in people's heads, man. So how about dreams of other lifetimes? So many people want to know about their past lives. It's, pretty fascinating subject. If you believe in reincarnation, of course, I do believe in reincarnation, and I know a lot of people that have researched it, and they have amazing research in that realm. So now, here we talk about quantum physics again. Quantum physics teaches us that all time is now, right? Which leads to a possibility of parallel realities or other parallel possibilities rather than past lives. And if you've had the strange feeling that you were remembering the future, much like an instance of deja vu, you know what? This is what reminds me of driving out west, and this is how I started thinking of things in timelines. So you're driving down the road, you're headed into Arizona, you know, you can see, Flagstaff and those mountains way ahead of time before you get there. I mean, literally hours. As you're cruising, as you see these mountains, you're in the same place, you're in the same realm, but you can't stop your car and get out and touch that mountain. You can see it, but you can't physically touch it. You can't physically be there until you're there. So if you think of it in the quantum world, it would be an instantaneous thing. Like you'd be able to pick and choose the file, like the file is on your laptop. Just pick this one, pick that one, choose that one, without anything in between. When you add time in, time adds that extra length to it all, doesn't it? So that's the deal, is understanding how the universe works. And Einstein's theory that if you were able to achieve the speed of light, which is where our time lives, that everything would stop. In fact, whatever vehicle you're using to get there, you wouldn't even be able to burn the fuel because everything would stop. You would be in suspended animation stop, right? So think of the concept of that barrier and what goes beyond that barrier. This is why I was talking about tachyons with the Chinese teacher who was teaching my kids Chinese at the time, and she was a grad student at Cornell making extra bucks teaching Chinese, and she laughed at the whole theory of tachyons. So the tachyons are subatomic particles that can travel faster than the speed of light. So then you have something that breaks the barrier. If there are things that break the barrier, then you know what you're working within and you know what you're working to and what goals. If you really want to travel through space, humanly, we can't do it because we would die. And unless you can start, oh, they have their warp engines and all that. Great. So you can drive the speed of light almost. And how are you going to steer it? There's gonna be some rock or asteroid. You're gonna die. It's not plausible because there's a lot of crap floating around out there. You know, you don't go that fast. And also, the theory is the closer you get towards the speed of light, the more things get drawn out lengthwise. Shapes, things change. You know, so there's also that. So the only way really to get there is to plot the points electronically and be able to use quantum physics to instantaneously transport solid items, right? And you would have to do it in a place where people wouldn't be because you don't want to like warp in to a place with somebody there. It would be not good, embarrassing, probably deadly. So, dreams. Visitation dreams. Visitation dreams tend to be striking experiences, leaving the dreamer with a deep emotional and somatic, the whole body, you're feeling it, impressions of the dream. These can include visitations from deceased loved ones, spiritual guides, or masters, or astral entities. So there are lots of people who tell those stories. The dream of aliens. Aliens, they got me. I woke up, I was on ice cold table. My cheeks were shivering and I was naked. and they were doing things to me. I couldn't move, and they were probing me. It was terrible. It was like my old marriage. Terrible. Had no freedom. Stuck. So people tell those stories. How many good stories do you hear of alien abduction? I'll give you a minute to think about that while I sip my really nice coffee. Mm. Anyway, zero. I don't hear about good stories of people being abducted. I hear stories of pain, of stuff, things that the normal person out there doesn't want done to them. And I say that very carefully, because there are people out there that have all kinds of stuff. But in this case, it's not a fun experience, right? So there's things like that you want to what you want to definitely avoid. You know, I mean, I don't know. I'm all about the experience, me personally, right? But I'm all about controlling the experience too, because I've learned that other people don't have control, you know, over things, and those very same people run for politics. They cause trouble. I know that only I can control what I do, right? And can I control my dreams? My dreams are weird. They're always weird, and there's many times I dream of a different civilization, really tall people, funky clothes, very space age type of stuff, things you don't see. Even with the top designers, all the funky stuff they create can't even match. More plain, but almost metal looking clothing. And I have these dreams often, And then I had the dream of my dear Uncle Henry, who came to me, and he was still alive, which is even funnier at that point. So he was my great uncle, my grandmother's brother. So he was elderly when I was young still. I mean, he died in his 80s, but he was a scientist. There was chemical research and development with two of his brothers. They were all scientists. My uncle Stephen invented the rubber for aircraft carriers to absorb the shock, that type of stuff. And, they did a lot for the war effort way back when. They were really all these guys, man. So they were scientists in the field for a long time. Anyway, Uncle Henry came to me in a dream. And the dream was weird because it was like that awaking type of state. And I had this dream, and he said that we're really from Mars, and we had to leave a long time ago. Our people had to leave, you know, for he didn't say it for a reason, but he took me there in the dream, and we were under the surface of Mars in the dream, and we were in this huge area that had animals. There was like woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. Like all these animals had gone extinct. Where in this place, the floor had light coming from it, and it was like some weird squared off lucite plastic floor, and there was water running under the floor. You can see it, you can hear it. So some kind of liquid anyway. So I had this dream. I was probably about 8 years old, and it stuck with me for my entire life. Here I am sitting there talking about it, and it was just very real and very impactful. What the information does, nothing really, you know, and it kind of, what? It kind of confirms things I already either knew or felt inside. So, just very interesting stuff. Good to pay attention to your dreams, though. Fun to pay attention to your dreams. There's a lot of people also have bad dreams, so that can also affect you in a negative way. So it's good to have an understanding of what you're experiencing, so you yourself can put a stop to it. So I don't know. And then there's people who have dreams of spirits messing with them, sitting on top of them, choking them out, and whatever. Yeah, there's that too. I've run into, done paranormal investigations, run into that. A woman thought she was having a heart attack a couple times, went to the ER. And then turns out it was nothing. And it was nothing. It was, she opened her eyes and she saw this thing sitting on top of her, pressing on her, pressing on her neck and pressing on her chest. So they eventually ran out of that house in the middle of the night screaming and never to return. So that's the deal. What you dream can have a profound effect on your life if you pay attention to it. If even if it's your mind telling you that you're messing up, you got a problem, you got to look out for this or that, that's something to pay attention to and use that information for whatever reason that information is coming to you. It's information for you to use, right? So don't discount it and don't shut it out. Understand it, research it, explore it. I've woken up saying people's names that I never even knew. I'd write things down. I got a pad next to the bed where I wake up and I say something, whatever I write down, just to do it, because in a few minutes, that name is gone. There's been times where I didn't, and the name was gone. I couldn't, not for my life, remember it. So that's kind of weird and interesting. But anyway, I'm going to end the show on that note. Discovery Paranormal coming at ya. What are you guys doing for Halloween? What's going on? COVID-19 Halloween. May as well go out with a mask on because you're going to have a mask on anyway, man. Or go out dressed as like a doctor or a nurse and you can have the mask on. But either way, be safe, wear your mask, get vaccinated. I see that they're trying to push this new pill that's supposed to stop you from dying if you get COVID, which is an amazing thing if it really works and it's really true. So hopefully we can get on top of this virus and get it back to our somewhat normal lives, even though I'm not quite convinced that it's going to happen for a while. Anyway, I will see you guys next week on this here show on Discovery Paranormal on United Public Radio Network. Bye.